Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live online info session for the Immigration Legal Assistant Certificate Program at Ashton College. My name is CJ McGilfray. I'm with the Marketing and Communications team here at the college. I'm joined by several colleagues today. We have Rika, who's handling all of the technical aspects on the back end of our session. We also have Rita, who is our admissions coordinator for Ashton College. And we have Alina, who's one of our instructors. So welcome to you three. Glad to have you here. Also just want to say welcome to all of our attendees. We love to engage with you however we can. So if you are on the Zoom webinar, you can use the chat box function. You can also put a question in the Q&A box, or you can use the raise hand function. We will do a live Q&A at the end of the session and would love to get your input there. If you're watching on Facebook, please just leave us a comment. We will check those during the session. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment there, or you can email us at info@ashtoncollege.ca. or give us a phone call at 604-891-1249 or toll free 1-866-759-6006. So as I said, we love engaging with you. Any questions you have, please do ask whenever you feel comfortable. So to start us off, before we move into the interview portion, I'm going to invite Rita to speak for the admissions perspective.
Thank you so much, CJ. Can everyone hear me? Yes, we're good. Thank you. My name is Rita. I'm the admissions coordinator for Ashton College, Vancouver campus. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our admission, our upcoming intakes, and the fees for the program. I work Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I can always be reached at 604-891-1249 or via email at info@ashtoncollege.ca. Regarding the Immigration Legal Assistant Certificate Program, the admission requirements are a minimum of a high school diploma with transcripts, experience with MS Office, to be 19 years of age at the start of the program, and if required, the English language proficiency test. I invite you to visit our policy on admission under ashtoncollege.ca. for all that information, or of course call me or email me. I'll be happy to assist. The application fee for this program is $200 for domestic student and $300 for international student. Tuition fee for domestic student is $4,300 and $5,600 for international students. Textbook fees are approximately $250. We have two upcoming intakes, a full-time and a part-time one. The full-time live online intake starts May 10th until July 30th. The webinars are Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then the part-time intake is, again, live online, starts April 20th until March 31st, 2022. The webinars will be held Tuesday and Thursday, 5:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. These are just, the little information you need to know regarding this program. Again, I invite you to call me regarding your admission requirements and tuition fees at 604-891-1249 or email me at info@ashtoncollege.ca. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rita. Lovely foundation for the program. And as Rita mentioned, any questions you have, please do reach out. So we're going to turn over to Alina. Welcome. Have a full list of questions for you today.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to be here with you guys.
Thank you. I thought to start us off, could you just tell us a little bit about your career background and how you ended up in the field of immigration law?
Okay. So I'm an immigration consultant working for Simon Fraser University. And before that, I used to work for another university, Trinity Western University, and I'm teaching in Ashton College in the immigration IMCT program for the past 6 years. I believe I used to teach the entire program from module 1 to module 10 in class. And then since we started to do it online, I was like teaching different modules for different classes. I also have my own firm. So I'm working as an immigration consultant for Simon Fraser University. I have my own firm, so I deal with my own clients, and I also teach immigration law. And the way that I became interested in immigration, it was because I am an immigrant, as you can hear, because I have a very strong accent. So you probably noticed that I'm also an immigrant. And when I was working in Toronto, I used to work for a private career college like Ashton College, but it had a different name, and we had lots of international students. And I was the operations manager. I was dealing with the students and with the government on the other side. And all our students had all kinds of questions regarding immigration, study permits, co-op work permits. The government was inquiring about our students, if they attend the classes, if not. So I decided that I really want to help my students, and I started to study, and I became an immigration consultant before the licensing was introduced. But then when I moved to Vancouver, that was the time when ICCRC came into place and we were required to have a license in order to practice. So I also studied in Ashton College. And after that, I got my license. So I became a regulated Canadian immigration consultant since 2012.
Wow.
And I really enjoy this line of work.
Amazing. That's so lovely to hear. And so you're alumni and faculty with us. Wonderful.
Yes,
So you said that you love the line of work. What do you personally really love about working in the field? Like, what are you most passionate about?
I'm really passionate about immigration because it allows you to help people. The satisfaction of your clients whenever they get their study permit, their work permit, their PR, when you sometimes help them from the beginning, from before they come to Canada until they became permanent residents or citizens.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you so much satisfaction, at least it gives me so much satisfaction that I always, I always feel like this is a job that I like doing, I enjoy doing, because it helps people.
Amazing.
And it makes me happy. And I always encourage people to practice, to do a profession that makes them happy. Because if you feel happy doing your work, then you are passionate about, you are going to be able to do it way better.
Absolutely. And I can hear in your voice when you talk about immigration law how happy you are and how much passion you have there. It's really clear.
Yeah, and same with like teaching immigration, because I did it for so many years and I don't need to do it, like I don't need to teach. I teach because I'm passionate about, because I like to teach my students and I like to see them successful. I am in touch with so many of my students who completed the program over the years. Many of them come to me to ask advice, even though they became immigration consultants 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Sometimes we just meet for dinner, or I don't know, we for a coffee. And it's so good. It feels so good to see them successful. It gives me satisfaction. It makes me feel like I did my job well.
Amazing. And so, since today's session is all about the Immigration Legal Assistant Certificate Program, let's talk about the nuances, just so we understand what exactly is the difference between an immigration consultant and an immigration legal assistant.
Okay, so a regulated Canadian immigration consultant is someone who can represent the clients in front of the government, in front of IRCC, in front of IRB, in front of CBSA, can represent employers for in front of Service Canada for LMIA applications. So the immigration consultant will be retained by the client to represent him or her. The legal assistants are the ones who are supporting the immigration consultant or lawyer, and they can complete forms, fill out forms, communicate with the client and collect information from the client, but they cannot provide immigration advice. So the main difference is providing immigration advice. An immigration consultant or lawyer is allowed, according with the regulation, to provide immigration advice to clients, while the legal assistant can assist and can communicate, can complete all the forms, can do the research, but will not be able to provide immigration advice to the client or represent the client, sign a use of representative to represent the client in front of IRCC or CBSA, SSA, or IRB.
Great.
Does
So
it make
is a
sense?
really, it does. Yeah, there's a very clear distinction. One is a role where you're representing clients. One is a role where you're working under the supervision of a lawyer or a registered Canadian immigration consultant. So very clear distinction there. Great for our students, our prospective students to know. So let's talk about the program more. What are some of the main topics that students will get to learn about?
So I think that this specific program, it's a very interesting one, because I also believe that a lot of immigration consultants or lawyers, they can represent the clients, but they are not really prepared very well to complete the forms, to complete the applications, or they don't have the time and resources to do the research for this application. So I think that this program is actually an amazing program, which helps people to actually understand different types of decision makers in terms of immigration law. It helps them to gain the knowledge and the skills to complete the practical part of representing clients, preparing applications, preparing submissions. It helps them to be able to understand the document checklist, to understand the application forms, to do the research required for preparing an application, to write submission letters. So this program actually helps the students who complete it to work in the legal field and to have the immigration knowledge required to support an immigration consultant or lawyer. At least this is my interpretation. I'm not just like reading, from the program description. I am just giving you my own interpretation of what this program is about.
Amazing. Yeah, it's the personal touch there. So it is going beyond just reading what's on the page. Of course, prospective students can access all of that information. Everything's listed on our website, full breakdown, course descriptions, etc. But this is kind of the personal perspective, which is great to have as well. Let's talk a little bit about your teaching style. How would you describe it?
I would say that my teaching style is a little bit unconventional.
Okay.
I am not one of these, like very stiff instructors who are going to just like sit there and go over the different sections of the act and regulations. I am the type of instructor that enjoys a lot to communicate with the students, to explain with very simple words every single concept. And I do like a lot to provide the practical knowledge, to provide lots of examples, and to go over in details about sections of application forms or different other things that we prepare for the, like for our clients, including submission letters, what we include, how to include. I always discuss with my students, and I encourage them to ask questions. I don't just lecture, just sit there and lecture. I always interact with the students. I ask them questions. They ask me questions. We communicate the entire time during the class.
Amazing. And I get you really highlight the difference between, a pre-recorded lecture that you watch on your own time and actual live online learning where you're engaging, asking questions, answering those questions, having discussions. Really clear distinction there.
Yes. That is the case. But I learn over the time, like since this COVID started and we pretty much teach online all the time, I learned that even the recorded sessions that we have are really useful for people who are not able to attend.
Absolutely.
Because they are still interactive, even though they didn't, participate in the actual lesson, because the other students were asking questions. These were questions that they may have asked as well. So they really, sometimes I get emails from students who didn't attend the class and they were like, oh, I'm so sorry I couldn't attend, but it was just like so good because so many of my questions were answered during the class.
Wow. I also love that you touched upon bringing practical experience with theoretical knowledge into the classroom.
Especially for this specific program, it's extremely important because the legal assistants are the ones who are going to actually need the practical experience, even more than the immigration consultant or the lawyer, because they will be the ones filling out the forms. They will be the ones trying to do research for that specific application. So they need to have the practical knowledge even more than immigration consultants or lawyers.
Wow.
Because that will be part of their work. That will be their job.
Absolutely. So I asked you a little bit about your teaching style. I just wanted to do a little shout out. You also won the Ashton College Faculty Award in 2017. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, it was kind of, it was surprising because I don't really care too much about awards, to be honest with you. But the reality is that I always had like really good feedback, really good evaluations from my students. So I don't know, like maybe that year was more special. I always had extremely good evaluations from my students, but that year it was just like I probably had the best evaluations ever. So I got the award, and it was kind of exciting because I received the award in the same time when some of my students were graduating. So we could kind of celebrate together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
But it's good, it feels good. For any instructor, I think acknowledgement, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, you are appreciated. And I think that that's a great feeling.
Absolutely. I'm sure the students feel that way too, with the, positive reinforcement about their learning and appreciation.
Yeah, that is correct. I do believe in positive encouragement for the students as well. I don't think that it's in any way beneficial if you just push them in a corner. I think that it's really good to always encourage them. And there's also something else that I say to my students when we start. I always tell them to not concentrate so much on what their grades are, how much they score, to just concentrate from the beginning until the end on their learning, on how much they can learn, how many questions they can ask. It's more important for me that they understand and they learn a lot than how much they score. I always say you are not going to be accepted in Harvard after with the grades from this program, but the knowledge that you will gain during the program, that will help you during your entire career.
Absolutely.
So be present. It's really important to be present.
It's great advice for any prospective student. What do you think that students will like most about the program?
I think that they will like the most the practical component of the program. I think that that's something that they will really like. I think that they will like that the program will actually provide them with a career. There are so many, secretaries, assistants, even legal secretaries or assistants who don't have the immigration knowledge. And having that, being able to support a lawyer or an immigration consultant in immigration cases, it's really a career. I could see this, like over the time, I could see that more and more lawyers and immigration consultants are hiring legal assistants who have immigration knowledge, who are able to help them to complete immigration applications. And I think that this program, by providing them really technical knowledge and also knowledge about all the immigration principles, will help them to have a career.
Amazing. Very practical. Love to hear it. So we chatted a little bit about the class structure, interaction, obviously a big aspect. What does success look like in the course? What kinds of qualities should students focus on in order to really succeed in the course?
I think that, again, just as I tell the immigration consultants, but even more for the legal assistants, having really good research skills.
Okay.
It's really important. So for the legal assistants, trying to do as much research as possible, that will help them a lot during the program and after they complete.
Mhm.
Listening skills, being able to listen, being able to understand, that will also help them when they complete the program and they start their career, because many of the immigration clients, they need to tell you their story, and you have to have the patience to listen to them. During the class, good listening skills will help the students learn more, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then, you know, questioning, asking questions all the time, challenging the instructor. I think that will help them succeed.
Challenging the instructor. I love that.
Yeah.
So bringing in curiosity, the desire
Yes.
to learn,
Yeah.
the need for clarity, need for answers, all good qualities to focus on.
I really like students who are loud, who ask lots of questions,
Okay.
who are asking for clarification, who never, you know, avoid to ask the question. I
Right.
always encourage them to ask as many questions as possible and to ask for clarification, because I do not believe that it's right for a student to just like sit there and not understand and not ask for clarification.
Mhm. If someone is a little bit on the shy side, can they email you questions after class?
They can always email me, and with all my students over the time, we also had like WhatsApp groups. So when they had like a you know, like a question that they needed answered right away, they would have asked that in the group, and I would have answered, and everyone, you know, like all the students in the class will see the question and the answer, and they will be able to benefit out of that. So I always communicate with my students. I don't by email, as I said, by other means, but I always encourage them to ask their questions, regardless if I do it during the class or outside of the class.
For sure. Love that. In the spirit of communication, I'll just give another shout out for our attendees. If you do have any questions, please ask them now.
Yeah.
You can use the chat box function, Q&A box. You can use the raise hand function on Zoom, leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube. If you're like me and you like to sit with things and think about them after the fact, you can always email us at info@ashtoncollege.ca, or you can call and speak with Rita at 604-891-1249 or toll free at 1-866-759-6006. Because we love getting those questions and being able to provide clarity for you. So Alina, back to you. Let's chat about the industry. How has it changed during your many years of experience?
The immigration regulations are always changing. There are always new categories of immigrants, and you know, every year there's something new. Every year something is changing, and that's why I say research skills are extremely important. I always encourage the students to, when they wake up in the morning, to just read the immigration news, to try to find out if something changed. Every single day, almost every single day, something is changing.
Wow.
So it's really, really important to keep yourself informed. And the industry changed because the number of immigrants coming to Canada is increasing every year. And we estimate that it will increase even more after this COVID, you know, bad COVID year. But even during the COVID, we had lots of clients, and there are a lot of people applying for immigration, and the government try to support more and more people who are inside Canada to apply for permanent residency. So I say the demand is increasing because the number of immigrants expected to come to Canada will increase every single year. So the way that it's changed, it was by increasing in numbers, increasing in demand. And immigration consultants, number of immigration consultants is not very high. Number of lawyers who are working, you know, who are specialized in immigration law is not very high. But since we have the demand, since we have all these people who want to come to Canada, then more and more lawyers and immigration consultants are expanding their practice. That's the reason why they are looking to hire people who have experience or education related to the immigration law and who can support them to provide services to more clients.
I can see that picture so clearly when you talk about lawyers expanding. Maybe they have very little experience in immigration. Maybe they've done some completely different area of law for, you know, a decade or so, but they want to shift their practice, and how just really how valuable an immigration legal assistant would be in that situation.
And it's not only for lawyers, it's also for immigration consultants, because many of them, like, let's say someone who got the license 5 years ago, initially when they started, maybe they started their practice working from home or working in a small office without hiring anyone. But then once they gain more experience, they started to have more and more clients. The moment that they started to have more clients, they need more people working in their office. They expand too. They will, you know, like rent bigger offices. They will hire more people. Sometimes, you know, I see immigration consultants or lawyers who have 4 or 5 different legal assistants.
Wow. That's really
because,
good to know.
because they have different markets and they will have different people working with different markets.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't have thought that the number was so high, but that's really encouraging for anyone entering the field.
Yeah, and I will provide an example. You may have, you may work with, you may have a market in India, a market in China, one in Pakistan, and you may have clients who are here local in Canada, and you may have clients coming from some European countries, or you may have another market, which is Iran, like a big market. So then you want to have people who are going to work specifically for that specific market with clients coming from that country. And sometimes you want them to be able to speak the language.
Yes, this was another question I had. Yeah, so is it really important that people can speak more than one language, or does it just make you more employable? What does that look like?
It makes you more employable. I don't think it's like, oh, if you don't speak another language, you cannot do this job. I don't think that. But I believe that it makes you more employable. It gives you an extra comparing with the other ones.
Yeah,
because
sort of
as
like
I said, many consultants and lawyers try to hire someone who can speak another language because that's the language people in their market speak. And it makes it easier because the legal assistant will communicate with these clients on regular basis by email, by phone. And if they speak the language, they have, you know, an advantage. People feel more comfortable when you can understand and speak their language.
I feel like that's something that someone could, a skill that someone could build upon too, even if they, you know, don't currently have more than one language. Once they do the ILAC program, they could, you know, study more languages. It would just make them more employable.
As I said, it's not mandatory because you may also have this type of companies where the marketers are the ones who are like speaking more than one language, and then the legal assistant will actually deal only with the paperwork. So not necessarily with the clients. So it really depends on the specific firm where they're going to work.
Yeah, and it sounds like whatever your strength is, you could play to that and find success in it.
Yes, that is correct.
Wonderful. Let's just briefly jump over to Rika. Do we have any questions from our Facebook Live audience?
Hi, guys. Yes, we do have quite a specific question from our Facebook Live audience.
For sure.
This person is actually, just to shorten her inquiry, this person works as an HR professional, and that person wants to know if this program will be beneficial for him or her, who is dealing with foreign recruitment, and looks like they basically are hoping to learn more about work permits, immigration principles, and temporary residence.
Yes. So the program will have specific modules which are related to research, correspondence, and documents related to temporary residence. And we are going to look at the basic principles of immigration for temporary residents and also for the permanent residents. When we are covering the temporary residents, we are going to look at employer side and applicant side. So we are going to look at LMIA, which includes the recruitment, and we will also look at the work permit application. So someone who is working in an HR department and who has to deal with temporary foreign workers would definitely benefit from this program. There are big companies who are hiring immigration consultants in their HR department to deal with the foreign workers. And there are other companies who have people working in their HR department who are legal assistants, who will not advise the clients, but will do the employer specific or employer compliance part. So you can be an HR person, and if you have the immigration knowledge, you will be able to set up the employer portal, and you will be able to submit offers of employment for the people who are LMI exempt. You will also be able to do the advertisement, the recruitment for the purpose of applying for an LMIA and give a job offer to a temporary foreign worker. You will not represent the foreign worker to apply for the work permit. You will not advise that foreign worker, but you will be able to actually do the work for the employer you are
Amazing.
working for.
Yeah, such a specific question. I love it. It sounds like a lot of transferable skills there and some really clear distinctions about where the expertise and where the responsibilities would fall.
Yeah, I really like this type of questions.
So specific. It's like a perfect student question. Curious. Love it. And yeah, folks who are with us on the Zoom webinar, please, do feel free to use the chat box or Q&A box, or just raise your hand if you would like to ask a question at any point. So Alina, I have a couple more questions on my list for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Always curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that people face in this line of work?
Stress. When you deal with immigration, when you deal with clients, you will always have to, deal with some level of stress.
Mhm.
It depends. Some people will feel it more than others,
Mhm.
but you have someone's life in your hands. So there is pressure, there is stress. You have to meet deadlines. And as a legal assistant, you will have to meet deadlines.
Mhm.
There are deadlines for submissions. Sometimes if you don't submit an application in time, that person may be out of status. That person will not be able to work anymore or study anymore.
Right.
So you always have to meet deadlines. You have to make sure that your work is very accurate, because if it is not, then that person may get refused, and then you will have to be accountable for that.
Mhm.
So I think that the challenge that I see in this profession is always related to the level of stress and
For sure.
responsibility that you have to have when you deal with immigration applications, because each of these clients, the way that they see it, for them, that's their life. For you, maybe you are working on 100 applications in the same time. And one of the applications, one of your clients is just one of the many. And from your perspective, if you have the knowledge, the immigration knowledge, sometimes it may seem like it's very easy. It's just a simple case. But for that person, that's their life. For them, it's really important. So they will call you, they will email you, they will.
No such thing as a simple case.
Because for them, it's their life. For you, it's just one of the cases, one simple case. So you have to, you have to be able to deal with this level of, stress.
Absolutely. Do you have any personal strategies that you use for stress management relating to the job?
I try to be very organized. That's one of the things that really helps me. I try to communicate with the clients before they communicate with me.
Anticipating needs,
Yes,
always a good strategy.
Because if I do that, then I will avoid, getting the clients
Like
really upset.
panicked emails or anything? Yeah.
And then it's also really important to set up boundaries. I think that that's also very important, because if you, for example, you have a client who's like calling you in the middle of the night and you are answering once, then that client will expect that you will answer forever, anytime, whenever they call. And if you don't answer the second time, then they will be very upset. So
'Cause it's
setting up
precedent.
boundaries, you know, like, okay, I'm going to respond within this timeline, and I'm going to respond by email, or just like if they keep calling, just make sure that you let them know that you will call them back. So the legal assistant will be in this position. If you are working for a lawyer or for the immigration consultant, you as a legal assistant, you will actually be the one in the middle, and you will facilitate the communication. You will be the one who should remind your lawyer or consultant when to contact a certain client. You will have to deal with some of these clients who will like keep calling you. So I say, do some yoga, breathe out.
Yeah, boundary setting, being organized, do some yoga. Very important to unwind when you have a
Yeah.
stressful day. Yeah, wonderful. I'm so glad we touched upon those, just relating to the challenges of the industry. So, in your opinion, what qualities make a really good legal assistant?
Punctual,
Okay.
efficient, organized, great research skills, and being able to ask questions at the beginning and over the time until she or he is confident in what they're doing. Double checking every single application they complete.
Being thorough, sounds like
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say attention to detail, being organized, efficient, that will definitely help. And
Did
good
you have to?
communication skills as well, because you need to
Yes.
communicate with clients on daily basis.
Did you have to learn how to be so organized? Did that come naturally for you? Did you have to put
Oh,
effort into
no, not so naturally.
it? So I think that might scare people. They're like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't feel like I'm that organized. How
No,
do
you know what? Sometimes we think each of us, we are organized in a certain way.
Right.
It's just it's finding what is the best way to organize for yourself. I am not that well organized comparing with other people. But in my way, I am organized, I believe. So I don't think it's, like we are going to learn, we are going to discuss some of these things when we study the legal procedures, office procedures, when we look at business communication. We are going to discuss and learn about strategies to be more organized or to communicate better with the clients. These are things that we are going to learn during the program.
Amazing.
But as I said, it's always you trying to find your way to be more organized, to communicate better. We just learn strategies and we have to learn how to bring them in our life.
It sounds like self-awareness is quite important. So being able to identify your own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to organization, and identify the solutions that work best for you so that you can.
Yes, that is
successful.
correct. That's very well. Yeah.
A little summary.
A very good way to describe it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I always like to ask a fun question too for our instructors. Do you have any books that you're reading right now for learning purposes or just for fun?
Okay, for learning purposes, I am always reading the news related to immigration every single day.
Amazing.
In the morning when I drink my coffee, I always check if there's anything new that happened. Other than that, the book that I'm reading right now, I don't know, it's not really fun. It's The History of Religions. It's an interesting book. Yeah, it's an interesting, very interesting book, which I wanted to read for a long time because the writer is a Romanian philosopher.
Wow.
And it's a very interesting book, I would say. It helps you have understanding for different cultures, different religions.
I know that that's reading for pleasure, but I can completely see how that would relate to your line of work, just having appreciation and awareness of different cultures and different religious practices, and being able
That's
to.
one of the reasons why I like to study, different languages. Because this is one of my passions. I can speak 7 different languages.
7?
And,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
and I really enjoy learning new languages. Like right now, I'm studying Punjabi. This is
Oh
my
my
new, yeah, this
gosh.
is my new thing.
Your newest one.
So,
What are the others, this other 6 languages that you speak?
French, Italian, Spanish, German, Korean,
Wow.
Romanian, English.
Amazing. And now Punjabi.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's my new goal. I'm going to learn. And the way that I like to learn is to be able to not only understand and speak, it's more I want to be able to read a book. So
Mhm.
that's when I consider that I can, like, okay, I'm familiar with the language when I
Yeah.
can actually read a book and understand. Because I do believe that understanding a language helps you to understand the culture, helps you to understand the people,
Mhm.
which means you can help them more.
Yeah, that really goes back to your big why of what you love about the field, being able to help others. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that is
clear.
correct.
Wonderful.
And it's also
Um,
fun, like sometimes if you go on the street or if you take the subway or the bus and you hear people speaking a different language and you
You,
understand, it's so much fun.
you can eavesdrop on 7 times the number of
When
people
they
that I
sing,
can.
yeah, when they sing that you don't understand.
Yeah, that's so fun. Awesome. Always love throwing in a fun question in there. Well, I'm working through most of my list of questions. I do have 1 or 2 more for you, but just do another shout out for our attendees. If you have any questions that are coming up now or in the future, you can always email us info@ashtoncollege.ca or give us a call at 604-891-1249 or toll free 1-866-759-6006. I'll jump back over to Rika. Do we have maybe one more question from our Facebook Live audience?
Looks like that's it. No more questions from Facebook Live.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Well, folks on the Zoom webinar, you can jump in anytime. If not, I'll sort of move in towards the direction of wrapping us up. Alina, one more question that I have for you. Do you have any final words of advice or thoughts to leave us with, particularly if someone is on the fence about taking the program? Any advice for that person?
I would say to never be on the fence. I believe that if you think about studying something, you should do it. Like if you are already looking into a program of study, just do it. I always like to study more. I have a master in engineering.
Yes,
And
I read that in your bio.
yes,
Yes.
but I always, since I came to Canada, I always took like all kind of different courses because I like to study more. I like to learn more. And I think that taking this type of professional courses will help anyone. You never know where your life is going to take you. If you would have asked me 20 years ago what I'm going to do, I would have said I'm going to be an engineer.
Wow.
Or I'm going to teach mathematics in university. I would have never said I'm going to do immigration.
Wow.
So you don't know 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, what are you going to do? Doing a program that gives you a career, gives you skills to practice in a certain career, even if you don't do it now, it will help you sooner or later. It gives you options. It opens more doors for you.
Amazing.
And also you don't necessarily need to work currently in an immigration field because Canada is a country of immigrants. Almost all companies in a way or another will deal with immigrants, with foreign workers, with people coming here as permanent residents. Having the knowledge will give you an advantage over other people working in your field.
So going
There's
back to
always,
human
even within the
resources.
same company, there's always, there are more opportunities if you have more skills.
Yeah,
So it
great way to
doesn't
frame
matter
it.
if right now you are working as a legal assistant or not, if you are working in the legal field or not, you don't have to work in the legal field to do this. You
Amazing.
can work in just any type of company, because nowadays, I would say that almost all Canadian companies, small or big, deal in a way or another with immigration. So having this knowledge will give you an advantage over anyone else working in that company.
Wonderful. I think that's such a great note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insight. Just give another shout out for our attendees. If you do have any questions that come up, info@ashtoncollege.ca or 604-891-1249 or 1-866-759-6006. We welcome any questions you might have. Thank you also to Rita and Rika for your insight and keeping us on track today. Wonderful session, Alina. And I think with that, I'll just wish everyone a great rest of your week.